Hello, and welcome to our SENDIASS session on how to prepare for a successful meeting. SENDIASS are the Special Educational Needs and Disability Information Advice and Support Service. We're a service for those living or working with ages 0 to 25 years with special educational needs and disabilities. We help families by providing factual information around SEND law and practice, as well as local knowledge and signposting to other services. We provide impartial advice on what steps to take in areas of education, health and social care, providing confidential, individualised support to empower those who seek our assistance. Meetings can often seem scary. Things you may not understand, jargon being used, and not knowing what you have the right to ask for. But you're not alone. To help with these common issues, we've put together this webinar to help make meetings less stressful and more accessible to you as a parent carer. If you have any further questions or would like support in preparation for or at your meeting, please do contact us. This session will cover three main areas. Firstly, what you can do to prepare before a meeting. Secondly, how you can participate during the meeting. And lastly, what you need to do after a meeting. We will also touch upon common questions and worries, and also offer some guidance about non-confrontational questions. Things to do before a meeting. Firstly, talk to the school to be clear on the reason for the meeting. If it's you who've asked for it, then obviously it's good to share some of the things that you want to discuss with them, and vice versa. If they've asked you to come in for a meeting, you should know what it is they want to discuss. There shouldn't be any surprises. It's also a good idea to know who's going to be attending. So school may have asked other professionals along, so it's okay to ask who's going to be there. If you've asked for an advisor or a friend to come along, then it's a good idea to let the school know beforehand. The most important thing is to make a good list of bullet points to keep your main ideas on track. It's very important to do your homework. It'll help you feel more confident if you know what you want to say. Start jotting things down in a notebook leading up to the meeting, just as you think of them, and then before pull them all together and make points in a good order. You might want to share this with your friend so they can help prompt you, but it's a really good way of keeping on track and making sure that by the end of the meeting you've covered all the things that you wanted to say. As part of what you want to discuss at the meeting, it might be that you want to refer to other reports that have been written by professionals, and it's really important to gather that evidence together to share at the meeting. If you're bringing something like that, it might be useful to circulate this beforehand to give everyone a chance to have a read through so they can comment. It's also really useful to set a clear goal at the beginning of the meeting of where you'd like to get to by the end. You might want to say something along the lines of, by the end of this meeting, I would like to be at the point, and then set something that would be relevant to your meeting, such as, I would like for my son to be able to come into class and feel more settled, or I would like to see us move towards getting from a part-time timetable back up to full-time again. During the meeting. Firstly, ask if anyone will be taking notes and whether these can be shared. It's really, really useful to make sure that a record of the meeting is taken so it can be referred back to afterwards. It might be something that your SENDIASS representative or friend can do, but usually school will have somebody such as a secretary who can take minutes. It's really important to remember that everyone at the meeting is there to support your child, and I think that that's always worth noting at the beginning of a meeting to start off on the right foot. It's important to set the tone of a meeting as well by starting with a positive. It's quite a good idea to thank everyone for coming and for their help in ensuring that your child gets the best support. Don't be afraid to ask questions or for clarification. of terms and abbreviations. This might be something that you ask your friend or SENDIASS to do on your behalf. Be realistic. There could be something here that's a bigger picture, such as something at government or council level that the school feels equally as frustrated as you about. But it's really good to have an open conversation where these things can be shared. This is where your homework will pay off. Go through your list of points and questions with the school and start to tick them off as they're being dealt with. This will help you to stay focused on the needs and provision for your child or young person. It's really important as you ask your questions to make sure that you're getting answers. Ask your question and then allow time for it to be answered. If there is a silence, don't be tempted to fill it. Allow yourself to be engaged in active listening. That means being clear on what's being said. Has your question been answered? If not, then ask it again. Allow yourself time to pause and to take breaths. Don't feel rushed. You need to get answers, and that's what the purpose of the meeting is for. Even the best prepared of us can still get overwhelmed in meetings, especially when we're talking about our children. If you get upset, it's perfectly okay to ask for a timeout so you can leave the room and compose yourself before returning. But if things really do become too overwhelming, it's okay to ask to bring the meeting to an early close and rebook another time. It can be counterproductive to continue sometimes. Before you finish, check you've covered all the points that you have made in your notes. You can also ask your friend or SENDIASS advisor if there's anything they feel that's been missed. Ensure that any agreed actions are recorded and who's going to be responsible for carrying them out, whether that's you, the class teacher, or the SENCO. It's usually practical to rebook another meeting to review, especially if changes are being made or new processes are being implemented for your child. It's a good idea to book this meeting at that time. After the meeting. Once you've successfully attended your meeting at school, it's a good idea to email summarised notes back to the teacher or the SENCO as written evidence of what was agreed at the meeting and the timescales, etc. You could also ask them to confirm that these are accurate. This will provide useful evidence going forward, which will build a picture. Suggest that a date is set for a review meeting if it wasn't organised at the end of the meeting. Even if this is a whole term away, it's good to make sure you've got something in the diary. It's a good idea to start to note strategies which will help you to be effective at supporting your child, but still allowing you to feel comfortable. This will increase your confidence. This may be things around communication with school. Following up on any agreed actions that you may have had will be a good idea. Ask for a copy of the meeting notes if they haven't come out to you. It's important to read through them and make sure that they are accurate. And if you disagree with them, go back and say which bits you feel weren't accurately recorded. If you don't do this, it'll be assumed that they are an accurate reflection of the meeting, which may cause problems further down the line. If no notes are taken, you could write a letter of thanks with any agreed actions included. This ensures that there is a written record of the meeting outcomes. Keep all your paperwork in a file so you can refer to it at a later stage if necessary. It's a really good idea to keep all your bits and pieces in one place. With the school's permission, you can bring a friend or one of our SENDIASS advisors. School are usually fine with this. Having that emotional support may help ease your anxiety. Remember, though, school staff can seem intimidating, but they are ultimately there to help support your child. With our support, you can educate yourself in the duties and law that schools are bound by. Whether through conversation with our advisors or through reading our fact sheets or using the IPSI website, you can be sure that you have the knowledge to back up your concerns. Remember, the school are there to help and support your child, not to hinder their progress. Go into every meeting positively and proactively. In short, unfortunately, you don't know if the school will do what they will agree to, but keeping track of agreed actions and communications will give you something to refer to if you need to chase things up. This is why it's important to get everything in writing. Review meetings are also very helpful, as they provide an opportunity to discuss progress since the previous meeting and refer back to those agreed actions. Asking questions in meetings about your child can be difficult, especially if you are nervous, angry, or upset. Some meetings may be an emotional experience. Thinking about how to phrase questions ahead of time can make a difference, keep the meaning positive, and set the foundations for a working together relationship. We've included some examples here. I'm not going to read through all of the information on these slides, but you can pause the webinar if you wish to read and write down some of these to give you ideas. Here are some suggested examples on how to show a willingness to work together. Here are some suggested questions on seeking clarification when you're unsure or don't understand. Here are some suggestions if the discussion's not moving in the direction that you want. Thank you for listening to our webinar, and we really hope that you found that useful. If you do wish to speak to somebody from SENDIASS, please do get in touch with us and we'll be happy to help you. Thank you.